LCD-2 2019 versus LCD-2C. What's the difference? Well, aside from price, let's talk build and comfort. Now, comfort-wise, the 2C come with these memory foam pads that compress and decompress a lot more slowly. They are definitely softer than the included leather pads on the LCD2, but those leather pads will break in over time and become extremely comfortable. This isn't to say the LCD2C is more comfortable, but out of the box, it's definitely softer. The headband on top, which is a more firm leather on the LCD2, isn't going to stretch out quite as easily as it does on the LCD2C, and the LCD2 has wooden rings around it, whereas the LCD2C is, I believe, entirely metal. Though this could be some sort of plastic. Sometimes materials like this are a little bit hard to judge. Regardless, it feels very sturdy. They both feel very sturdy. And comfort-wise, I really feel the same about both of them. I think that the biggest differences between these two headphones are going to be in sound, so let's skip everything else and go straight to that. Now, as you may have seen in my other videos, the LCD-2C I talk about as being a slightly more mid-forward and less extended sound. This does carry over a little bit into the LCD-2 Fazor 2019 version, but with some changes. I think that the LCD-2 2019 is a little bit better extended on both ends and is slightly less mid-forward. It's a warmer sound with a much more natural presentation. And that's one of the big things that's going to be a recurring theme here, is that the LCD-2C is excellent, especially for its price point under $1,000 for a planar, but the LCD-2 is a significantly more natural sound, and with the Fazor array, it actually does present significantly better detail through the mid-range and treble. I find that it does seem to lose out on impact a little bit when compared to the 2C though, regardless of being slightly better extended in the lows. I also noticed that the treble peaks that are in the 2Cs are also slightly higher in the 2s, though I don't seem to mind as much because of the increase in resolution and detail in the highs. It doesn't make these peaks sound quite as sibilant. And that being said, the treble peaks, while they are there, while they still are peaks, all of the treble overall is slightly recessed on both of these two models. So it's more of a peak from a recess rather than just a peak from neutral. As I said, both of these do tend to lean a little bit more towards warm, and the 2 Fazor 2019 leading more towards warm than the 2C. As a result of that, we do get a little bit of bloat from mid-bass into the mid-range, though not anything I would consider significant. And the sound is, as I stated, while being significantly more natural, it's also more of a headphone that I would just kick back with. I think if you're looking for something to really just sit back in an armchair and put on your headphones and just zone out, the LCD-2 Fazor 2019 is definitely one of the best headphones to do so. However, with the addition that you're going to be sacrificing a little bit of center image. The center image, it feels like, while on the 2 Classics, on these, the center image is decent. You have a good center image here, and then a dead zone from here to here, and then a wide image out here. Whereas on the LCD-2 Fazors, the image is very excellent on the sides coming all the way through, even through the dead zones you get on the 2C, but the center image is a little bit lost, and I find when I hear something that's supposed to go all the way across through the center image around to the other side, it comes across and then skips the center and comes straight out the other side. So there's a little bit of a dead zone right here on the 2 Fazor 2019. This does include vocals. Vocals are a little bit less intimate on these, but as I said, it's more of a natural, very relaxed sounding headphone that maintains detail. Now, an interesting thing you can do on these is pad swap vegan pads onto them, which is something that I've tried on both, and it's yielded very interesting results. With the stock pads on both, I significantly prefer the LCD-2 Fazor. Whereas with the vegan pads, it becomes a little bit more of a mixed story, because with the vegan pads, the 2 Fazors tend to become a little bit more V-shaped. And while the sound is just very, very excellent, the treble does become a bit tiring with those certain pads added on them. whereas when I put the pads on the 2Cs, it tends to pull the mid-range back a little bit and better extend the treble and low end, making the 2C with vegan pads a more well-balanced headphone. And while it doesn't retain the same level of detail, I found it to be less fatiguing over time. As I said, that specific bit is just with the vegan pads on them, which I do somewhat prefer the sound that way, but it is hard to decide whether or not I actually enjoy the 2Cs more with vegan pads or the 2 Fazors more with their stock pads. The 2 Fazor with their stock pads are just an excellent headphone overall, period. And these do maintain what the 2Cs do, where they have a just massive wall of sound coming at you from either side. I also found that the 2 Fazors tend to greater benefit music that praises separation. Things like orchestral music, or something where there's going to be many instruments compressed into a more narrow frequency bandwidth. A trait that I generally attribute as a plus for things like large planar speakers, like Magnepans, for example, being able to separate the mid-range very, very evenly. And lastly, one other point I've noted before, especially in the comparison between the LCD-2C and the LX, is that the 2Cs tend to be slightly more compressed and are much more forgiving to amplifiers and to tracks that may not be as well produced, which isn't a negative blow at the headphones at all. It makes a lot more music significantly easier to enjoy, though I will say, while this trait does somewhat carry over to the LCD-2 Fazor in comparison to things like the LX, the LCD-2 Fazor is more prone to coloration from amplifiers and from the quality of how well a track is actually mixed. So with the LCD-2 Fazor, while it is definitely a better experience over the 2C for me, you definitely will want to pay mind a little bit more to your source. So guys, that's all I've got for you today. Please, if you want to help support the channel, check out the Patreon linked in the video description. It helps me to afford to review things like this, as well as shipping items back and forth non-stop, because I'm sure all of you know audio is not cheap. Over there, you'll also get early access to my videos before they come out public. So I want to give a big thank you to all the patrons who currently help make these videos possible. And if you're new to the channel, please like this video. If you liked it, leave a comment down below letting me know what you want to see in the future, and don't forget to stick around and subscribe for more videos like this in the future. Until the next one, guys. Peace.